Insight, joining us now to do sort of discuss really all the volatility and the big, of course, further losses that we see here on the day. Christian Fromherst, CEO of Tribeca Trade Group here. And Christian, I think what really stands out to me is a 40.90 on the S&P 500, and you're looking at some other key technical levels at a 40.71 on the S&P. Why that number, and are we going to reach it?
Yeah, hey guys, great to be here. Yeah, 40.71, where I'm extracting that number from is volume at price. That's from the weekly chart in S&P. That is the price and volume of all the activity that we saw last year. And when you put about a standard deviation around that price and volume, you get to 40.71, which is a key support area for me on the weekly chart. So I'm really watching to see if we can, now that we've gotten down to the support level, which I've talked about, throughout this year, I'm looking for us to kind of hold that level of support in the S&P. Now, the Qs is a little bit different. The Qs, we have a little bit more downside.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because I think it's interesting. We're looking at fresh lows here on the day, and NASDAQ off now 2.14%, and NDX off now 2% as well. So seeing that further deterioration, what is it about the Qs that leads to potentially more downside?
Yeah, I mean, just to look at how that value area is set up, 297 is what I'm looking for there. And, what we're seeing is just the Qs, as well as and growth in general, is just so much more sensitive to what's going on right now in interest rates, just because it's a more expensive area. So you're looking at TLT just, after that humongous move yesterday, it's not easing up and, continuing to move down, which means rates are going higher. And it'll be interesting to see if we get some stabilization in the interest rates, which could possibly lead to maybe a little bit of relief bounce at this point in the Qs.
Do you sort of big picture here see short squeezes underway, gamma squeezes underway? Is there hedging going on? What's sort of been your big key takeaway here as we continue to deteriorate a little bit here on the week and on the day?
I mean, I think that there's been already a lot of hedging taking place, and I do think this move in interest rates, it is just caught, as well as the U.S. dollar, which you guys have touched upon as well. When you have those factors and those headwinds going on, then what's required is more adjustments to those hedges. As things get more expensive, we begin to see more hedges being put in place for all three of the indices, the S&P, the Qs, and also the small caps. I
think, as you mentioned, dollar, it sort of brought up this bigger picture. There hasn't been a place to hide. You mentioned yields as well, and we talk about breadth in this market and the deterioration of yesterday. There was very, very few stocks that were ending up in the green. What signals do you take from breadth, the lack of it, and any further signs of a bottoming out?
Yeah, I mean, I have one that's a little bit in the weeds. It's down volume, and that's over. If you put down volume over up volume, right? So you're actually looking at the volume, not just the advancing and declining issues. What you can determine is that yesterday was a pretty big number. That number comes to be over 15. Generally it's like between a +2 to a +2 to a -2. So when you have 15, it's pretty extreme. So I think that we're getting a little bit closer to the process of creating a bottom. I don't think that we're there yet, but I think we're starting to check some of those boxes. I wouldn't call, I don't like to use the word capitulation, but I think that it's getting closer to that process of we're starting to see more of that flush down with heavy breath to the downside.
Really appreciate it. Christian Fromherst, of course, of Tribeca Trade Group. Thank you as always for joining us for Options Insight today. We take a look at a NASDAQ now off about 2.25, NASDAQ 100 off